His family also celebrated Passover. They passed over hugging him. They passed over educating him. And they passed over going to his football games. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice. We get on mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. Right, Gina Grab?
That's right.
And Bald Brian. Mr. Mouth just can't keep his big mouth shut. Yeah, Lynch sent over a couple of nicknames we can look for in a moment. Chris can check at the email as well. As long as we're on that subject. You have it in front of you?
Yeah, so he emailed us saying, I really only had Mike Lynch as my nickname when I was a little pudgy, but there was Michael Motorcycle, turn the key and watch him pee, turn it back and watch him crap in elementary school.
I didn't even know that one.
Well,
pretty advanced.
And then he said there was a girl.
And also, I like this simplicity of the fat kid just having his last name changed to Lunch.
My mean grandma would say Brian 2x4 came through the kitchen door.
Oh, right.
Why are they always poems? I was Gina Benina Sewing Machine. Is that just fun for people?
I guess it's a Banana Fofana situation.
Sure.
But also, there's nothing longer and thinner than a 2x4. I've said this before. And people could say, well, maybe it's 2 foot wide by 4 foot tall. Standard interior doorways are 32 inches. 2x4 is 24. It's 24 wide.
You have to be carrying it horizontally for it to work, for the joke to work.
Yeah, it really. Anyway, sorry about that. Your mean grandma.
And there's more.
Yeah, my grandma famously was telling the table of out of towners that when I was in high school I was bursting out of my clothes.
Yeah.
And now I look better, but when I was in high school I didn't look good because I was big and I was bursting out of my clothes. And after this went on for some time in front of my mom, I felt a certain need to interject and explain to the table that I was an all-valley football player. That's why I was big and bursting out of my clothes. I lifted a lot of weights.
But it's also...
Would have been nice if Mom piped up at some point.
Really?
Because
that was
the only
option?
context these out-of-towners had was my grandmother, who normally you think would be sort of rounding in a positive way, was rounding in a negative way. So I had to interject the part about football.
On your own behalf. But isn't
it's always sad when you're doing it on your own behalf. You're kind of waiting for someone else at the table to pipe up, but nobody chimed in.
It's an indictment on your parents for not buying you new clothes. It's like a child should never feel that they are going through an entire year of school bursting at the seams.
Well, I wasn't, the thing is I ate 6 eggs a day and lived in the weight room. I was this sort of big, bulky dude who was trying to achieve something on the football field and trying to pack on the muscle. It didn't look like one of the Hemsworth brothers, but it wasn't.
Didn't look like one of the Farley brothers either.
Right. When you picture the grandma talking about the kid being big and bursting out of his clothes in high school, you picture
Augustus Gloop.
Yeah, there's many stories of kids being chubby at a younger age and then at some point as adult thinning out. But I do not think you're picturing captain of the football team. And
no, not Gaston.
That's I wanted to reframe it in a more accurate way. But I always found it was interesting that she was working it hard, and then my mom was just sitting there looking down at her.
Yep,
at her
sounds
pot
about
roast.
right.
Yep, and so when I did,
where was Adam getting these eggs?
I felt self-conscious about it, but I felt I had to do it. My grandmother stuck to her guns, though.
Yeah.
She didn't back off, and her angle was, "I'm complimenting you now."
No. Oh, sure, yeah. All's well that ends well.
Most improved award.
There you go.
That's right. Sorry, Chris. You have more with Mike?
Yeah, I said there was a girl in his high school who supposedly had hair on her nipples. So she was called Shitty Kitty with the Hairy Titty.
That was a thing, by the way, hair on the nipples.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not aware of this.
What are you talking?
It was a thing.
Somebody with PCOS?
Somebody would say that, I was with this chick and we got to second base or something and there was hair on the nipples. It was a thing.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a thing.
I'm with
sure
you.
Tell you.
And how does that rumor get started? Like, what does a girl have to do to disprove it, which is also very shaming?
Yes,
there was a
agree.
girl in my school. There was a rumor that she masturbated with a hot dog.
Oh, my God.
And she had to switch schools. Like, it was brutal.
Wow,
Yeah.
unsanitary.
Look, if it was poached, I'd be fine. Grilled, not so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Lest we forget Max Zapata
Yes.
in the nickname department.
I
Wait,
know.
what about him and
that's
that
not his real
name?
name. That's not his real name.
Well, who are we talking
I'm
about?
talking about Chris
That guy in the
Loxamana,
window.
who years ago you nicknamed Max Zapata.
Always disgusted. And it also proved to me something about the mental firepower and the ilk of the person, the people you surrounded yourself with, Chris.
Okay.
Not
Indictment.
those guys weren't geniuses because Max Zapata
Right.
was low-hanging fruit.
Was there the whole time.
There the whole time, they walked right past it.
And by the way, at the wedding, I met a member of the gay bus, and I told him I felt like I was meeting a celebrity.
Yeah, the bus you guys took around the country pretty much at 19.
That's
I was
right.
really
a lot of those
excited.
guys were at the wedding.
Yeah.
All right, so out of the bus, but still in the closet, or
Out of the cupboard,
That's
out of
right.
the drawer,
all
out of
right.
the credenza.
Let's move on.
Shiverobe.
The Brian, we have another hoodie situation with you.
That's
I
so
tried
weird.
to tamp it down for him yesterday.
Mr. Hypervigilance, you haven't noticed I wear this hoodie all the time? How has this just become a problem?
I do not notice you wear it all the time, but somehow you're blocking.
That's weird.
I cannot see Chris through your hood.
It's voluminous today.
I bring it up if I saw it in the past.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, this is, thank God our show is documented on video. This is a minimum 2-day-a-week hoodie.
This is the hoodie, though?
Yeah.
2 days a week.
This is a former sponsor of the show, American Giant.
Oh, every week, 2 days a week. I don't know
In the
why.
winter, I mean, since the beginning of the year, it's April, so I get cold.
So the hoodie, the actual hood, blocks me from seeing the slice of Chris Maxa.
The little
What you would say his
kangaroo
last
pouch.
name is?
Laxamana.
The actual
what?
last name.
Through the hood or by the hood.
Loxamoxa.
Yeah, so
as you called him for a short period of time.
there's a
Those are the
hood.
days.
Well, there's a window, and Chris takes up the last quarter of it, and I can see him, so I can see when he's typing or
weird.
doing something.
Everything's
but,
the same.
All right. Well, if everything is the same, then we're basically predicating this on me not seeing Chris but not saying anything in the past.
I don't know what's changed.
Question.
I can't imagine.
What about your shoes?
Something has changed.
Are you taller? Are you more
I'm not,
lifted?
no.
Oh.
Again, show is documented on video every day. We could go back and see the multiple days a week I wear this hoodie.
Yeah, I'm not saying you haven't worn the hoodie. I'm saying something has changed because I cannot see Chris.
Did the
because of
table
the
get
hood.
shifted?
No.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, it has to do with probably me sitting closer to the edge or something.
No,
I
because-
I don't know what that is, but there's something.
I'm in the same place because I got the fixed table here.
All
I
right.
like it.
Well, it's only a matter, by the way, it's only a matter of about 3/4 of an inch.
Maybe less, yeah,
on,
it's just
on
like-
your side. Because if you lean in 3/4 of an inch, now he's fine. Like he's fine right there. So I don't know. Slide your mic
I'm not gonna
forward
be
a
Yeah,
little
wear,
bit.
wear a crew neck sweater tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
All right. Well, or we'll just do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll slide back. Okay. Or maybe slide your mic forward a little bit.
But now I can't see that Shayna Punim at all because you have this big mic arm in front of you.
It's all you just pulled it back. But if you push your mic forward an inch, that's the impact we'll make.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Is that comfortable?
Can do.
All right. Now, Mark Garrigus came in here yesterday, and he had a head of steam because it was he adores Dr. Drew. You know, they were boyhood friends.
Pasadena Playmates.
That's right.
Yes.
Playboys.
And he expressed to me that it was the 1-year anniversary since the hit piece on Dr. Drew from the LA Times, where he was asked by a board member of the LA City Council to sit in for free and volunteer his time to work on the homeless problem in Los Angeles. Since, by the way, I don't know why it took us 11 years to get here, it's all addiction. Everything is addiction. Everyone who's on the street is fucking strung out. This the new face of welfare or face of homelessness is not the mother. Yes, it is. Everyone's on drugs. All people who choose to fucking sleep under the freeway overpass. So, by the way, I was driving in today on the Santa Monica freeway. They have caged up the one overpass side so nobody can sleep on the dirt underneath the freeway with the 36 inches of headroom, but they've all shifted to the other side now. So they shall be there, and then they'll put a cage on the other side. God knows what that'll cost the taxpayers. And
Hostile architecture.
Then they'll shift it to the next overpass. But anyway, everyone's on drugs. Everyone is fucking strung out. So somebody said, why not get an addiction medicine guy in here?
That'd be great.
He'll work for free. And maybe we can put a dent in this situation. This is a year ago. Mm-hmm. I would say the homeless situation has gotten worse in the last year.
No one could say it's gotten better.
Yeah.
Here is from April 16th, 2021. This is who wrote this article. This is the hot take from the LA Times. Who is downtown? Their building is downtown. I've been in that building.
They should
It's
know
the
better than
editorial
anyone.
board.
It's not one person.
Oh, nobody wanted to put their
I'm
name
not
on
seeing
this?
a single name.
All right. Well, here we go with the geniuses at the LA Times.
Editorial. Dr. Drew is the wrong choice for LA's homelessness authority. If Los Angeles County supervisors are serious about their historic care first, jail last approach to justice and safety, they will say no to the Homeless Services Board appointment of Dr. Drew Pinsky, the bomb-throwing, COVID-denying, justice reform blaming media personality who urges LA to renounce many of its hard-won human services programs. Dr. Drew, as he is known in his media appearances, was nominated by Supervisor Catherine Barger for a seat on the board of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, the joint powers agency that's charged with getting people off the street and into housing. LAHSA is no place for Pinsky, a physician, addiction specialist, and TV, radio, and podcast pundit who has positioned himself as a truth-telling expert with a knack for cutting through liberal nonsense supposedly spouted by politicians and the news media.
First things first, you know what I never really get in today's new world order? Whether it's we're going to attack Dr. Drew for volunteering for the homeless committee, or we're talking about ivermectin, it's horse paste. Like, well, where's the energy coming from? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. They've both been around for a while.
Right.
Maybe he goes on there. Maybe he has a couple good ideas. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, where's the energy coming from?
Ironically,
this is inert.
When they listed his qualifications, he's very qualified. He's a physician and an addiction specialist.
Right. How dare he?
Yes, how dare he?
That's exactly what you want.
As opposed to a boardroom filled with yentas who have no practical experience working with people with addiction problems, I would say, yeah. I would say since
Grab a specialist.
Addiction is a major component of this. And when I say major, I mean well into the 90s. Then it seems like a dereliction of duty to not have an addiction medicine person in this group of people who are making decisions they're basically making decisions on behalf of junkies, but none of them have an addiction medicine background. So,
Scary.
Yeah, scary. Well, you could also argue, could we just step back and look at the results? I mean, maybe this got something to do with this. Like, look, if there was a committee to figure out what to do with train bridges, I wouldn't mind a mechanical engineer sitting on that. Would you?
No, I'd encourage it.
Yes. All right. Sorry, Dawson.
Such nonsense once included the notion that COVID-19 was something to worry about. The disease, he assured his audience in February 2020, was nothing more than the flu, and concern about it amounted to a, quote, press-induced panic.
Yeah, well, there was a press-induced panic over COVID, but still really neither here nor there when it comes to addiction and homelessness.
And man, do we punish people for changing their mind.
Yeah.
And feeling as though they're owning up to something that they may have missed the mark on. It is so punitive. Why would you ever say, I got this wrong when this is what happens?
It's never ending. And plus, this plan of Well, this guy might do a good job running the defense for the Rams, except for we got to go back and find some tweets from high school. It's neither here nor there. This is a problem we're having. It's a big problem. He's donating his time. He's an addiction medicine specialist. Is that all right, LA Times, or not okay?
The supposed nonsense also includes the belief that people shouldn't face years in prison for possessing small amounts of illegal drugs. Proposition 47 is murder, Pinsky said, referring to the 2014 ballot measure that helped change the punishment-based approach to substance abuse and addiction and allocated savings from reduced prison costs to drug treatment and other non-carceral approaches.
Right.
No, Pinsky said. He doesn't believe substance abuse is properly a criminal justice issue, yet people who don't agree to drug treatment should be jailed. Homelessness is also exclusively a mental health and addiction phenomenon, he argues.
Yeah, he argues because it is.
It's his profession.
It's all
expert.
that. I would not say 5% of it does not involve mental issues or addiction issues. I would say 95+%. It's one or the other. There is no wildly pragmatic, sane person who's just wandering around on the street, sleeping in a fucking cardboard box.
Yeah, it's very let them eat cake. Like, I don't know, do you live where I live? Because I see a lot of addiction and a lot of mental health issues in Los Angeles. So in your ivory tower, you might not see what the rest of us see, but in the valley and in Hollywood, that's what we see.
Well, I think, I would concede that there's a group of like folks who go, I want to get off the grid. I want to go full Unabomber.
Full nomad.
I'm going to Alaska.
Right.
I'm building a cabin. I'll heat it from burning wood or
Whale blubber.
Cow dung. There's that. Those people ain't living under a bridge in South Central in squalor in a fucking tent that they pitched on a sidewalk. That's not that person. Right. There's a group of people who want nothing to do with society. That's not them. They are living more in society than we are. They are interacting with people. They're selling stuff. They're stealing stuff. They're getting money. They're getting drugs. That is not that person. Sorry, Dawson.
Homelessness is almost exclusively a mental health and addiction phenomenon, he argues.
Says the expert.
And has nothing to do with housing costs. Just look at how many immigrants come here and find a place to live. He does not appear to be swayed by academic studies engaged by LAHSA, showing that mental illness and substance use affect less than half of LA's homeless population.
That is the biggest bullshit study I've ever seen in my life. That's impossible. It's literally just walk outside.
Well, and not only is that bullshit, but I'm sorry, is 49% not enough for you?
I agree.
I think as I posited before, it's an unreliable group you're surveying. You
Right.
can't survey mentally ill people and then be satisfied with the results.
Well, also, what do you think if you said, all right, it's housing costs? Okay, we've discussed this many times. Housing costs is expensive. Every Hispanic construction worker I worked with or lived with or rubbed elbows with, those guys, they get their families, they get about 6 people, they put them in one apartment, they all whack up the rent. It's all over the place in LA. When you drive down to Koreatown and you go down off of Wilshire and Western or whatever, you look at all those apartment buildings. There's not one dude living in there.
Bachelor.
With a heavy bag and a Harley against a brick facade. It is 11 people. You figure it out. And if this was it, like let's just say, okay, when I had to move out, I didn't have enough to make rent either. So I went and found 3 or 4 like-minded people. Many of my friends did this. They got like 3 or 4 dudes. Nobody had $900 a month rent, but everyone had $275 a month rent. So 4 of those dudes rented a house in deep North Hollywood, became kind of the party house. And I did that with an apartment. I did that with houses. I've had multiple roommates in multiple houses multiple times. I never didn't have a roommate until I bought my first house.
You did have a roommate when you bought your first house.
Oh, and then I brought my first roommate, Cortland.
Yeah, see?
Who now does
Below Deck.
Below Deck, yeah. I brought him into my new house for about a year. Then eventually, him and his girlfriend filling the sink with dishes and calling it a day. Decided to spread my wings out a little bit. But
he obviously became homeless after that.
That's right. So look, if you're homeless and you're sane, you're part of the 50% plus that is just can't afford rent. And there's ostensibly, so let's just do this little thought experiment. Fucking retard LA Times. All right. 50% plus of this throng of humanity are not addicted and they have no mental issues. They're simply people who can't cut the rent because the rent is too expensive.
Priced out of the market.
All right. So
rent's too damn high.
That would then that would then be the equivalent to thousands of people walking around on the street every day going, man, I wish I had a shitty apartment. Yeah. Now, don't you think 2 or 3 of those people would run into each other and go, hey, man, I'd like to get an apartment. And they went, you know what? I'm drug-free and fit as a fiddle emotionally. I would too. Oh, good. There's this place out in Sun Valley I saw an ad for.
Yeah.
Why don't we get that third guy? Because over the majority of us are sane and drug-free, and all we would like is to live in an apartment, and every place is hiring now, right?
Yeah.
You can get a job flipping burgers at In-N-Out Burger for $21 an hour now, whatever. Okay, good. Then we'll all just share our resources and move into this apartment. Wouldn't that be going on?
Sure.
Makes
Makes sense.
What drug-free, mentally stable people do? Yes.
Regularly.
Yes. So whatever this academic study is that they don't cite, it's worth horseshit.
And the study's from the organization, whatever it is.
Right.
Austin, you can say it again, association.
From your own organization.
Yeah, it's like a study we commissioned.
All right, sorry, do you have more?
Nor by studies showing that those afflictions are most successfully treated after the people who suffer from them are housed. He calls the housing first model embraced by the Board of Supervisors and experts around the country, quote, a hoax. Pinsky is popular in part because he gives people what they want, a veneer of expertise to dress up their indistinctive belief.
A veneer. Well, that's like 41 years of doing it versus your fucking fakakta study. That's not a veneer of expertise. We have an academic study that says over 50% are not affected by drugs or mental conditions. All right.
To dress up their instinctive belief that simplistic solutions such as more criminal laws and more policing are the best ways to resolve social problems. At Board of Supervisor meetings, Barger has cited him approvingly, especially his assertions that homeless encampments could endanger the entire county by spreading communicable disease. That's ironic, given Pinsky's initial COVID denial. Oh. But even if Pinsky is right about the dangers of unsanitary encampments,
I think he may be right.
Even if
shitting in the pot next to the place where you cook your meth, even if that affects sanitary conditions.
Small if.
Wait,
right.
Just actually listen to this entire sentence. But even if Pinsky is right about the dangers of unsanitary encampments, or the troubling role of methamphetamine amongst a portion of the homeless population, his proper place is not on the board of an organization whose mission is to house people.
If he's right, his place is on the board?
Can't be on the board.
Don't you have to have an equal counter argument to all these accusations?
No, I told you, I cited it. It's in my book. The same group wrote that study on teachers and guns and arming teachers and whatever. And at the end of their diatribe about why this was a bad idea, they said, and I don't know what school shooting they were talking about at the time. I think 9 kids died or something. They went, so what if a teacher had a gun and only 3 kids died? what difference would it make?
Make
It
a
was
lot to
like,
6
Big
parents.
difference.
Right, but
12 parents.
Don't shit all over your own points when you're trying to make a point. I never get that. I mean, I get there's a proofreader who's looking for spelling and punctuation. Doesn't there someone who reads it for bad ideas?
An editor.
Copy
Yes.
editor, yeah.
All right, you got it.
LAHSA would be only too happy to move thousands more people out of encampments and into housing, where experience shows they are far more likely to accept treatment for underlying conditions if the city and the county would allocate the funding it takes to do it right. By the way, I do want to say that there's one of those tiny houses place right at Victory
Yep.
and the 170.
Yep.
Empty.
Yeah.
It's been up for years.
Come on.
Empty.
Well, the deal is
Fondelier could
Nobody
do that.
wants to go there because they're all addicted to drugs and you can't have drugs in there.
right. So they would rather live on the street and do drugs than live inside a house and not do drugs, even if it's a tiny house. All right, everybody.
The sweet irony of all of this is they're trying to tell us what's humane, and there are animals that walking around on the street that we would obviously help and pick up and go, where do we help this animal? And we just let people die on the street because that's more humane.
I was talking to Drew about this, and it's a very LA City Council kind of thing. I was literally talking to him earlier today, and it's sort of opposite however Elon Musk thinks, they think in a way, which is an interesting thing. I've never really distilled it down this way, but anyone who has tried to build something or start a business or a restaurant or whatever in California, especially in LA, is always like, oh God, 3 years with the permits, Bill Maher, trying to get a goddamn shack built for 3 years to house a solar battery switch, like what the fuck? And I realize it's a completely different mind thing, which is, it sounds counterintuitive, but some people, depending on your wiring, and these people in your life, they can talk about the same thing endlessly in terms of a problem that they're going to solve. Like, oh, man.
Or the project they're
right.
working
And
on.
you just go, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just stop it.
The idea they have.
Like, I don't want to have this discussion ever again.
Right.
You're writing a fucking cookbook for kids. Do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It should be
It's
here
like-
by now. I should be holding it.
and it's kind of that way with Bill Maher's Solar Shack. It's kind of that way with all permitting. It's a real California thing, which is, hold on, we got to have a meeting. And then we're going to put it up, and we're going to have a town hall, and we're going to let people speak, and then there's a review board, and it's like, what is this at its core? And the core is, we don't want to do shit. We want to talk about shit. So, every 6 months, the mayor will come out and talk about our unhoused neighbors deserving the respect that, it's like, but where's the plan? What's going on? What are we doing? And then you realize, they don't want to do stuff. It's like a California thing. Like, we just want to kind of string it on.
But if you don't want to do stuff, then get the fuck out of the way.
But
Well,
wait,
we want to be in charge.
Oh.
But does that not justify their jobs and their everything? It's like the military-industrial complex, right?
Right.
We need some sort of war or conflict to keep the thing rolling. Like, these people need to have the meetings and the hearings and the whatever and the delays and the inspections because to keep the whole machine turning.
Yes. It's Jesse Jackson wanting to have an Al Sharpton, an honest dialogue about race in 2022 where nothing ever changes, everything's the same, and nothing ever gets solved. All right, on that
Fun.
happy note, let
Why
me
don't we
tell
solve
you
that?
about Black Buffalo. If you're 21 or over and you dip or chew, I know Dawson does a little dipping and a little chewing, and he loves himself some Black Buffalo. You can join the herd. It's a tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo. Everything you love about dipping, including pharmaceutical-grade nicotine without the actual tobacco leaf or stem. Made from edible green leaves and food-grade ingredients with the same flavors and textures as traditional tobacco products, available in long cut and pouches as well. Plus, nicotine-free versions called Zero Flavors, like wintergreen, mint, straight, and there's also peach and blood orange as well. Ships directly to your door in days. Also, they have a subscription option as well. Use the promo code ADAM at checkout for 20% off your first order at blackbuffalo.com. Right, Dawson?
I just packed a lipper.
Oh, nice.
Got the blood orange long cut.
Nice.
Tastes real good. It's got the same consistency of a nice good dip in your lower lip. And I'm enjoying this. I'll let you know how it goes as we go. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. This product is intended for 21 years or older. Current consumers of tobacco. Underage sale is prohibited. May not be available in some states.
All right. Actress, model, stunt woman, Eli Jane will be in studio right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Sam, this is Nick from Seattle. The other day, my 3-year-old daughter locked me into her bedroom from the outside, and I thought to myself, what would Adam do? So I popped off the doorstop, used her stool, popped pins on the door, took the whole thing off. Problem solved. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Don't know why you had to pop the doorstop off. You could just pull the pins on the knuckles of the hinges. Now look into that, man. Eli Jane, you pull the pins on the hinges.
Sure.
The doorstop's the piece of molding that stops the door when it doesn't make sense. Good to see Eli.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Eli's an actress. She's a model. She's a stunt woman who does some really kick-ass stunts in The Way, which is a new movie available now on Apple TV, Google Play, and YouTube as well. And she's been on Entourage, Nip Tuck, Desperate Housewives, and especially Kong, Skull Island. Love that goddamn movie. You were Brie Larson's stunt double in that?
Yep.
That's good. Because that, you know what it is? I mean, it's the ultimate tip of the cap. It means you look like Brie Larson, but you kick ass.
You kick more ass than Brie Larson.
So you're more Brie Larson than Brie Larson.
Yeah, I kick ass. So I kick ass for Brie Larson. So
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that movie, but I watched it in Vegas after having a few drinks, and I just remember yelling at my son, Kong, Skull Island, like 33 times. That's what you do.
When you're drunk, that's what you do. You just repeat yourself
Whoa,
over and
whoa,
over,
whoa.
really
Who
loud.
Said drunk? Who said drunk? I didn't hear that word.
I didn't hear that one either. So you trained.
That's because I'm a drunk, so I think everyone's
Okay,
a drunk.
well,
I'm sorry.
Takes one to
I'm
know one.
reflecting here. I'm so sorry.
You're trained as a gymnast, right?
Yes.
And that was so. What is your story? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Michigan. I moved around a lot as a kid. Texas, Illinois, San Diego, Florida. Then I got out here, turned 18, and got pregnant. So
At
right.
18.
yeah.
Mazel tov.
Thanks.
And we were talking off the air that you went to UCLA and delivered a child, but I don't know if it was that child.
It was that child. I have 2 children, so yes.
So you have like an adult child, even though
Yes.
you look so brand new and young.
Wow.
That's a good thing,
He's
right?
23. He's, an EMT, a lifeguard. He's got a
wow.
He gives cruises. I don't see him anymore. And then I have my other one's 18, so
Tell me they're stuntmen or some people.
no.
Please.
Although I will say that my oldest son is a gnarly athlete. I mean, he's one of the top lifeguards. He's on the boats. He's definitely what he does. His schedule is like the morning he gets up, goes surfing, then he does lifeguarding, and then he gives cruises. So it's constant all day, built brick house.
I'm sorry to say this because I know we're talking about your son, but that's fucking sexy.
Easy.
I know. That's like everything you're saying. Wow.
Well,
Good for him.
It's like his dad. He kind of followed after his dad. His dad was a surfer.
nice.
Well, in the sort of sight unseen, I'm going to set you up with my friend department. On the male side, you go, you've never met this guy, but here's his schedule. He gets
Right.
up and he surfs.
Yep.
And then
So
he
far, so good.
lifeguards after that.
Then he goes to work.
And then he goes to work and runs a cruise. And on the gal side, she's Brie Larson's stunt double.
Oh, fuck
That's all
yeah.
you need.
That's all you need. You don't need to scour the internet and see pictures at that
No.
point. You got it.
Well, he actually has a girlfriend who does all the same stuff except for lifeguarding. Although she teaches surfing at the local high school. So
Kinda lazy.
it's like the female version of him.
I love that there's surfing taught at the local high school.
Yeah.
Some schools have surfing programs.
Yeah, I was in the
Santa
surfing
Monica
program
High or whatever.
when I lived in San Diego. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were?
Yep.
God, that's got to be so much better than my ceramics class.
Better than making
It
purple
was.
cows and kitchen. home ec.
Yeah, like you got to just leave in the middle of the day and go surfing.
Yep.
It'd be early morning, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The only so was it
first thing in
was
the
it
morning.
before school?
It just varied. I mean, it was a long time ago, so it was middle school actually. So I honestly
middle
don't remember, but I mean, San Diego. That's how we do it. We
It
start
wasn't
them in
like
middle
lunch.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was probably some of both would be my guess, but I don't know. I don't remember.
San Diego moved around a lot. Was your dad in the Navy or something?
No, he just moved around when he got better jobs. But he played football for the Air Force. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Damn.
quarterback.
That's good genes, man.
Yeah.
And quarterback.
Yeah. And
That's good.
Adam, it's an option quarterback.
It means athletic.
Yeah.
I'm fucking around.
he's pretty athletic.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
And it's good because offensive tackle usually means maybe a little more size
I see.
for the offspring.
Okay.
But quarterback,
Svelte.
sinewy.
Yeah.
Svelte. Yeah. I'm looking down here, something that's kind of interesting to me. I know that you're also involved with the project of the Von Dutch story, which is I'm kind of interested in. You everyone know Von Dutch?
I know the brand.
The brand
Yeah,
Von,
I don't know the backstory.
Von Dutch. Well, this is kind of interesting, but you can tell us about is it a 3-part doc series? The Curse of Von Dutch is what I wanted to say.
Sure, it's on Hulu right now. Basically, my son's dad and I helped start Von Dutch, and I was their first model and one of their first investors. So when I
And
turned
stuntwoman.
well, when I turned 18, I was originally a model, and I came out here. I met baby's daddy, and then I invested. I had some stocks, and my mom did too. We believed in the company very much, and it was my son's dad, so we spent our money on it, and it ended up being this huge thing, which I eventually stepped down pretty quickly. So I didn't actually see the full rise of Von Dutch, but it's basically the story kind of from my son's baby daddy's eyes. I always say that, but yeah. And then it also goes into kind of the history on how it became what it became. And just the story of my son's dad ends up killing someone, and yeah. Anyways,
Wow.
Oh my.
and he's kind of like a gang, or he was, involved in that sort of lifestyle. And it kind of goes into the story of how it started. It's just basically like a, surf brand that helps. Like his mission right now is to help get gang members off the streets and into the waves right now. So
Did you find it to be accurate? Like an accurate portrayal of what happened, at least when you were there?
I wasn't there for a lot of the rising of it, so I don't know that part of it. I only know the part of, it being in my family room and it all being in my name because I had no credit. And,
Was Von Dutch originally like a car pinstriper or graphic guy, like who worked on custom? There's a handful of guys who are like legendary hot rod, like sort of pinstriper guys. It's a dying art because everything is just tape now. But these guys would freehand this stuff, like real artistry shit. Was that what?
right.
Chris, tell me Von Dutch's thing,
You're
because
right. Yeah.
I knew something about him. I don't know when he passed. I don't know if he has. I don't
Yeah,
know
he
if-
did. He's passed. So he did the pinstriping and flames on the cars.
Oh,
He was
right.
one of the originals, although Von Dutch is kind of like nothing is original. So, but he was one of the original artists, and he just has some really crazy stories. Hell's Angels owner was like, "Hey, you're going to paint my bike," and he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then he leaves his bike there, and he comes back, and Hell's Angels like, "Where's my bike?" He's like, "It's all packed up in those boxes over there," and they couldn't believe that they did this to the head of the Hell's Angels. And I mean, he was just this gnarly guy. He didn't listen to anybody's rules, and so I think he already had a big history, and they kind of caught on to that. And then we ended up paying some money. Here's another Von Dutch story, but he left his whole estate to the daughters. Or no, to his friend. And his friend was like, Ratfink was like, "Hey, no, you're not going to leave it to me. I'm going to give it to your kids."
Wait, Ratfink was the character, right?
I believe it was his friend.
There's a Ratfink like animated. So just to set the table, there's this whole kind of 50s hot rod
Oh, sure, rockabilly.
characters, rockabilly. It sort of got usurped by the sort of rockabilly thing. And Ratfink, Chris, you can look up Von Dutch, we'll figure out more, but he had made all these cartoons of this crazy rat named Ratfink, and he would, they put it on T-shirts and stickers and stuff like that. So I guess Von Dutch created that.
I'm not
But
exactly.
he had a friend named Ratfink?
Yeah, I mean, it was left to one of his friends, so maybe I'm getting the
What do you got,
Ratfink
Chris?
wrong.
Yeah, Ratfink was created by Ed Big Daddy Roth.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Roth.
So
Okay.
one of his friends, thank you for, it's been a while, but he left it to his friends, and then they gave it to the daughters, and then we would pay the daughters an amount to be able to use the name.
Right,
So
the
each
Von
month-
Dutch name.
Yeah.
Yes. When did he pass then, Chris? Or
92. Kenny Howard, a.k.a. Von Dutch, passed in 92.
Yeah. So
that shit was hot.
And then they came out, then the whole clothing line, and I
Yeah.
guess that's where the money was, right? And is it now defunct, or is there still selling Von Dutch stuff?
I don't know. Maybe in other countries. I mean, the documentary did really well in other countries for sure because it's an American brand.
And it's like that is a real slice of Americana. That's
Yeah.
like kind of Elvis and blue jeans
Right.
and Cadillacs. This Von Dutch is like very specifically American.
Yeah.
Am I ignorant? I was associated with Paris Hilton.
No, you're right.
Okay, that's where I sort of became aware of the brand. I'm very square.
I didn't know anything about this. What happened with Paris Hilton?
She wore a lot of Von Dutch stuff.
Oh, really?
When she was in the public eye around 2000 or whatever it was.
Huh. Also, the unbearable weight of massive talent, the Nick Cage movie. That's like,
We're all very interested
I
in.
think somebody, maybe my son informed me last night that it was 100% on Rotten Tomatoes
I'm
or
psyched.
something.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Well, that must be why I didn't have a big part. No, I'm just kidding.
But you were involved.
But I was involved, yeah.
Nick's stunt double.
No, it was one of those things where it was like a day player role, and I didn't even know I could improv, and I regretted not improving. I was like, shit. What? Oh, well, whatever.
Is that coming out?
22nd, I believe. A week from today as we record this.
And is everyone just through the moon to
I'm
watch that
psyched.
movie?
I mean, I think Nicolas Cage has a checkered history with a lot of viewers. People know whether to trust a movie coming out with Nicolas Cage, but I've heard good things.
All right, so let's get back to The Way, which is the movie that Eli stars in. Where'd you shoot it, and when did you shoot it?
So we shot it right in the middle of COVID. And it was kind of one of those productions that, we had no experience with it. We were getting our noses swabbed and pricked and, on a regular basis. But we were also on a prison. So we did have some problems with the SAG Directors Guild coming in. You can't shoot. There's a possible case. And our director is so great. He's like, yeah, let's see them get on a prison,
Like an
and
active,
stop us.
An active prison.
It was not active,
Okay, that's
but
for the
it
best.
was, yeah. There was an active prison not too far away, but yeah, it wasn't active.
That's good.
Where you like transformed? I watched the trailer. I didn't watch the movie yet, but you were like tatted up and sort of gritty and dark.
I really brought out my baby's daddy. That's really what I did. I just brought him out.
Play what you know.
Are you still in contact, or do you have any relationship?
I do. All my son's dads. There's a piece of me that just loves them. I have a child with them, and I can never repay them for the gratitude I have for giving me a child, for sure.
Wow,
And as they used
that's
to say,
awesome. You don't hear that very often. That's really nice.
he's gone straight, which now I don't think you can say anymore because it means he's done being
Yeah,
gay.
maybe
Right.
not.
But they used to call that he's no longer getting into trouble.
The straight and narrow.
Baby's daddy's taking the gangbangers out to the Pacific Ocean. And
I mean, I think so. He's definitely got some stuff in the works, it sounds like, but you never know. So
I got to tell you, all people that are suffering a little bit mentally, get out to the goddamn ocean, would you please? I was in the ocean this morning.
For sure.
Whatever your thoughts are, they melt away.
they do.
You get in the water, and the thing I realize I've talked about on the show before, when you're in the water, put yourself in situations where you need to concentrate on the situation a little bit.
Right.
Like, let's just say you're at the amusement park or the arcade or the Chuck E. Cheese, and you get one of those claw things, you know, those games with the joystick and the claw,
Sure.
and you want to get this teddy bear, right? So for that moment when you're maneuvering the joystick, trying to get the claw to drop over the teddy bear, are you thinking about anything else?
It's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Now, unfortunately, that only lasts 22 seconds. But
And it usually ends in disappointment.
if you engage yourself in behaviors where you sort of need to do this,
You just described addiction.
right,
For 20 seconds, nothing else matters.
you know, when you're operating a table saw and you're like pushing the wood toward
Yeah.
the spinning blade, you're really not thinking about politics or COVID or Elon buying Twitter. Like, you're just pretty much there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get your fingers cut off.
Yeah.
And when you go, I went out in the ocean this morning, kind of had big tide, you know, was kind of hitting hard and stuff. And I was like, that's all I was thinking about is where's that next wave coming in? Can I kind of time it and get under it? I don't want to get pummeled by it. Some point, like a pelican will go by and you go, oh, look at that. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. That's where your head's at. Kind of sucks you out of it. I could imagine when you're surfing, it's just you're looking for the next wave.
Of course.
There's something emotional going on with surfing because so many people feel the need to do it. And it's way beyond, you know, riding your Peloton or something. There's something that
you're right.
beckons those guys and gals.
Well, I think I've mentioned this maybe once on the show before, but there's this amazing organization called A Walk on Water. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but I've been to their events, and they're surfers who take physically disabled kids out on surfboards, and you can kind of like help and guide them and stand them up. And kids who've never spoken literally become verbal. Like there's
Walk on water?
something. Yes.
No,
I was like, what drop am I
I'm
waiting
going to
for?
make it my charity of the day.
It's an unbelievable organization, and that, to your point, there's something magical about the water.
Yeah, there's something magical about the water, and then there's something not magical but important about just kind of having this prolonged focus that has nothing to do with the extraneous parts of the world that everyone feels responsible for.
I think it's just like nature as well. You know, if you don't have the ocean, you can go outside, look at the leaves, you know, look at the mountains. I think there's just a really important element in that, for me anyways, you know.
Well, and there's something so beautiful about knowing that nature doesn't care about you. We're all so wrapped up in ourselves. It's like the waves are coming either way.
Yeah.
They're there while you're asleep. They're there before you're there. They're there long after you're gone. They're just there. And the thing about nature, you know, I think maybe this would be helpful to a lot of people that are sucked in the city. I think we do this thing where Eli just did it, where she went like, for me, you know, nature's important. And then people go, yeah, for me too. But it's important for everybody. They just don't know it. A lot of people don't know it. It's a universal. It's important. There's people that just work in high rises and they're downtown and they never leave that area and they go, I'm not into it. It's like, you are into it. You don't know it. It's important. It's important to you.
And I do have to say, you know, I walked in saying I'm a recovered addict. So there were times in my life that I never even saw nature. Like I could be in the middle of it and I just didn't even see it because I was somewhere else in my own head.
Right.
You know, so I think I appreciate it even more now that I was so far removed from it. So there is that element of, you know, negativity turning into positivity. But then there's also that thing where you reflect. So,
Sure.
sorry.
There's room for both.
I owe you an amends.
Well, like reflect while you're hiking. I mean, I think when you think about where does the worst shit in the country go down, and the answer is the further inner city. You know, it's called inner city. It's like we're right in the middle of the city. That's where all the bad shit goes down. And as you branch out and get further from that pin in the middle of the city, like if it was a map, it'd just be a red pin, and you go, get away from that. And you just don't, you don't see a lot of folks walking on the beach in Malibu, like wringing their hands and yelling into their cell phone.
Yeah.
I've been on the beach there for a year. I've never even seen a person smoke or kick their dog or yell at the sky or anything. They just like walk and talk, and everyone says hi, by the way. That's
Yeah, they
all
do.
The big hand wavers over there.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Your oldest son is the EMT?
Yeah.
Well, Ab and I saw ambulance, so we can talk EMT stuff
Oh,
all day
I was
long.
I was about to ask your take on that.
It's above average, a good for a Michael Bay movie, but I wouldn't say anything special or groundbreaking or.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, dude, this is great scene. No, it's fine. It's good. It's got some good action. It looks great. It's a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, that was kind of my take on it. Like, it's
fine,
good.
Looks sharp.
Yeah, you could watch it.
Hot review, guys.
I'm not going to stop you from watching it, but
Because there's ridiculous Michael Bay movies, maybe Transformer iterations that you could goof on and have fun with, and it's a decent movie. It's above average.
Agreed. All right, I think Ricki Lake is waiting in the waiting room. Chris, does that bring that up?
Yep.
All right, I can't see you because Brian's moved his mic back.
Park
but,
out.
I'm trying to become part of the fucking table here.
you got to slide. Just
can
slide.
scoot it.
If you
We'll
scoot
scoot
it forward, that'll
Realize
do.
I'm touching the table.
It's about the lean.
Okay.
That's the part. It's
You
not
missed the news that
not
Adam
the
can't see
walking
through
part.
Brian.
Yeah, it literally your 7/8 lean opens up that window.
Damn.
All right, let me tell you about speaking of this, BetterHelp. Physiological, or I should say physical symptoms like headaches, teeth grinding, and digestive issues can be indicators of stress. Plus, you're doom scrolling all day, sleeping, sleep too little or too much, undereating, overeating. It's all a sign of you guys needing to get yourselves a little help. I think you know what the theme is. Let's get our heads straight, and then everything else magically straightens out. Take care of yourself. And try to do a little therapy. BetterHelp, customized online therapy offering video, phone, and live chat sessions with your therapist so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you do not want to. Much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. It's BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/Carolla. That's BetterHelp.com/Carolla.
All right, the movie The Way. It is a kick-ass action thriller. It's available on Apple TV, Google Play, and YouTube. That is Eli Jane. And then Ricki Lake will be joining us right after this.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
You can handle the truth.
If you said A Few Good Men,
You can't handle the truth.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
Ricki Lake has joined us via Zoom. Good to see you, Ricki Lake.
Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We'll talk a little Dancing with the Stars at some point because we're both alumni. The documentary, The Business of Birth Control, and you can stream it now at thebusinessof.life. Is that correct?
Or the business of birthcontrol.com. It's the easiest way. Just Google us, and that's where you can find it.
I will write that down. So give us a synopsis of the doc, please.
Well, so those who are familiar with my earlier work, I made a documentary 14 years ago called The Business of Being Born, which looks at the medical system when it comes to birth. And it's just an eye-opening educational experience. And so what we did for birth, we're now doing for birth control. And there's so much that we don't consider when we put these drugs in our bodies. And the idea of the movie is to, again, educate and empower women to have the information to make the best choice for them when it comes to their reproductive health.
Can I just add that there's an incredible documentary, Ricki, and I'm
Thank
such
you
a
for
huge
watching
fan.
it.
Incredible, and like 1988 Hairspray can't be beat. It won't be beat. But I'm so grateful to you that you made this because I was on birth control like everybody else for almost 20 years. And it just kind of, as most women say, just wasn't working for me anymore, quote unquote. It just wasn't right for me anymore. And after watching this, the line that really stuck out at me, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she said something like, and I'll probably butcher it, but it's something to the effect of, you're basically... You're not using your estrogen when you're on birth control. So it's
It
basically
puts everything on pause.
Right. So it's basically like saying to a man, you don't need testosterone if you're not trying to have a baby, which is a preposterous thing to say to a man, but we just didn't realize it for women.
Yeah, you're shutting down your hormone system completely.
Right.
You're changing who you are on like a foundational level. And for many people, they want the ease of taking a pill every day and not having to worry. But we're not being told that it can affect your mood. It can affect your libido. It can cause all kinds of side effects. For me personally, I was on the pill for more than 2 decades off and on, and I had hair loss. I didn't know that was a side effect going on and off these drugs. And so it was really, there's so much that kind of blew my head off in making this film. One of the things that blows my mind every time I tell people, it changes who you're attracted to when you're on these drugs. It changes your pheromones. Scientifically, you are attracted to a different kind of person when you are suppressing your hormones this way. So it's like food for thought. We're not trying to scare women off these pills. We want access. We want everyone to have access to all the different options, but we want them to know what to consider when you take these drugs.
I told you Hobby Lobby was right. You wouldn't listen.
Well, another woman in the doc says something like, what's more feminist than knowing what our options are? As opposed
and knowing
to
how our bodies work.
Exactly.
Too. Like, it's fascinating. And I'm 53 now and I still get a cycle. I still have a regular period. And for me, it's so interesting to study my cycle. I use an app called Clue on my phone. And it's just, it's empowering to understand. And we're supposed to be more creative at different times of a month. We're supposed to like embrace the whole cycle itself. And there's so many amazing experts in the film. There's stories about young girls that have passed away from pulmonary embolisms, and a lot of these stories you don't hear about because Merck and all these pharmaceutical companies, they give gag orders to families that take a payout. And so it's just, again, I'm coming from a place of not trying to scare women. I want to empower them. And these films are really, really like a gift, I think, to women. And I'm so proud of this work. They take forever. This film took over 7 years to make. We don't do it for money. It's not a money-making venture, but it's really, really important. And I'm super proud. And I love that we're getting the response that we are.
It's interesting that it changes who you're attracted to.
They did the sniff test on the dirty t-shirts. Yeah. I watched it too. It was really good.
Thank you.
Because you think about it, men are pretty hardwired. I don't know if there's a pill I could take that would get me off of a tight ass and big tits. I'm sorry. But
Put that on a
guys
t-shirt.
are pretty hard. We're wired in a certain way, Women, attraction can be so many different things to so many different women. We've seen it a million times about all these different elements that they may or may not be attracted to. So it would be logical that if you're kind of screwing with the pheromone stuff and estrogen and everything, that it would change your window to what you're attracted to.
Yeah, you tend when you're on these drugs, and they tell you it makes your body think it's pregnant. Well, it actually does the opposite. It puts you in menopause. But you shut off that sort of alert to the kind of person you procreate with. You tend to be attracted to more like brother than other. Mm-hmm. And that, when you think of, a lot of women go on birth control, hormonal birth control when they're in college, they find their partner, they fall in love, they get married, and they go off the pill. So many stories, anecdotal stories of women just not being into their guy after they go off the pill.
Yeah.
So it's really mind blowing. And, and it makes, with Abby, my director and partner, she looks at relationships, 20 years ago when she was on the pill and, that relationship, it makes so much sense when you put the dots together,
It is true in the sense that I've always kind of joked about this, but guys, when they think back on their past relationships, long for like, oh man, if we could have sex one more time. And women, I'm just speaking for myself, are always like, oh, what was I thinking?
I'm haunted.
I got to take a Silkwood shower. Why not let Adam sleep with me? They're like, but maybe some of it, and I meant some of it's emotional, but maybe there is a kind of component to it that's organic.
And were there a lot of those, Adam?
I have almost every
day.
I've done a loose survey. Almost everyone is disgusted, repulsed, and wishes they had a time machine to go back
blame it on
and
the
undo
pill.
that. I now can sleep easier.
Yeah,
at night.
right. Now, hopefully, you feel better.
Big pharma. God damn it.
How devastatingly ironic that a lot of women go off the pill to try to get pregnant, and then they're not really into that guy if their hormones are changing.
Yeah.
It's devastating.
Did you know it actually shrinks your clitoris. These
I
drugs.
saw that clitoral
Yep,
shrinkage.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. I was
Yeah.
gonna bring that.
I mean, yeah, it's just wow. It's a lot. It's
Well,
a lot.
speaking of physiological things.
Yeah, how you gonna? I want you to segue. I want to see where you're gonna.
Well,
go
I was
with that.
Coming up
watching.
next.
I was watching on YouTube this morning. I don't know, 3-4 minute discussion with you on alopecia, and you referenced the hair loss maybe being
Yeah.
caused by the pill, and you're struggling with that, and of course the whole Jada Pinkett Smith thing kind of being in the news. And I thought your thoughts were pretty interesting about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a both and. I mean, what he did was so unconscionable. I mean, to lay your hands on anybody for saying anything, but also I can understand the pain if someone made a joke about my hair loss. And that's one of the things when I came out, when I shaved my head and I told my story and shared my secret, I was so terrified of people making fun of me, saying mean things. I mean, that was one of the things I was mostly afraid of. And so I get it. Like alopecia jokes are not really funny to me, but you know, it struck a nerve, but certainly didn't justify what was done.
Your journey this is something you struggled with for a long time, and you tried Rogaine and pills, and you tried
I was on
everything.
Propecia. I was on Propecia, which is a drug that's only approved for men. Like I went to this doctor. He gave me shots of steroids in my head. I mean, I wasn't bald, but I could tell that I was having major, hair shrinkage, follicle shrinkage. And that's genetic. And that's, the extensions and doing Dancing with the Stars, as we were talking about just briefly, that took its toll on my hair. They tease it and they put those, extensions in and they color it. It was like a perfect storm. And it was just something that really bothered me. And I didn't want people touching it. I didn't, I turned down work because I was so self-conscious about it. And I'm such like a happy and authentic person. Like, it's just, this is the one that was like the thorn in my ass, and I just had to be set free. And I now I don't color my hair anymore. I actually love, like, I embrace it. My hair grew back. I use this product. I'm endorsing this product. I've never done an endorsement in 30 years of my career. And I this product has really helped my hair to be the healthiest it's ever been. So I've made peace with it. And that's really what I was hoping to do.
I got to tell you, the Dancing with the Stars, like, hair trailer, it's a toxic soup. It is.
Emotionally?
Emotionally, it's charged. They're spraying the Aquanet everywhere. Everything is hot. They got the hot roller and the hair dryer. And now the hair dryer's weaponizing the Aquanet, just blowing heat on it. And everyone's sucking. I have a theory that, my theory is always hairdressers are always nutty because they've ingested so much weaponized Aquanet that it actually... Look, you spray Aquanet on a cockroach, it'll die.
That's right.
You live... For 20 years, you've been sucking this stuff up in a windowless trailer. It's going to take its toll.
Well, the phrase is mad as a hatter. That's kind of the same thing. The glue.
And I did hairspray, you guys, when I was 18. That was all my own hair. So they sprayed and teased. That was all my hair. Yeah. Yeah. It was like cotton candy.
Gina's life has been changed.
It's like it's this almost animated bouffant with a life of its own. That was your hair.
That was all my hair. The two-tone, when it was platinum blonde and brown, that was all my own hair. And it was never the same. So, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful I have this career because of that experience. And yes, it ruined my hair. And yes, it's all water under the bridge. But Dancing with the Stars, what season were you on, Adam? We were not on together.
No,
we were
8.
You were actually partners. You were dance partners.
I was 6.
Yeah. I was season 13 with Derek Huff, and it was amazing. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I loved it. I loved it.
You must have fallen in love with him. He's so
well.
Cute.
I was married at the time, but he was hard on me. I mean, it was really not an easy job, but I loved it, and it was really a crazy cast. Our cast was nuts. We had Hope Solo, Rob Kardashian, China Phillips, Chaz Bono, Nancy Grace. I mean, it was like it was the heyday, I think, of Dancing with the Stars. It was really wild.
Who was my cast, Chris? Because I have a story that's a recollection that one of the gals you may know, and maybe she had some. We'll figure it out, and we'll see if there's any connection.
Did you do well? Did you last on the show? No.
No, you came in third, right?
I did.
That's a lot. I did not. I had Penn Jillette, who thankfully couldn't dance. Monica Seles, who I had a bizarre conversation. You know what they don't tell you on Dance with the Stars is there's a lot of downtime.
Oh.
And at some point, Monica Seles, a tennis star, is going to like chew on your ear because you got an hour, and she wants to get into talk radio.
Wow.
And Monica Seles was one of the most sort of morose people I've ever met, like very kind of low energy and not angry, but just sullen.
Okay.
And she was telling me about launching
Eastern European.
a career in talk radio. And I was like, well,
That's a thought.
I'm not trying to play tennis, maybe.
We all do what we're good at.
We had Steve Gutenberg, who was a delight, Priscilla Presley, who was interesting and a delight, Marlee Matlin.
I love Marlee.
Shannon Elizabeth, I forgot about her.
Oh, yeah, and she dated Derek. She was with Derek, and I think they dated during that time.
Oh, it was Melissa Jarrett Winokur.
Oh, yeah, I do know her. She's a friend of mine. She did Hairspray. She did the stage version. She played my role on Broadway. And won the Tony.
Okay, so I had this weird,
the connection.
when Ricki was coming on, I had this like weird thing. So I had... And this will tie in perfectly to the theme of this interview. I had one of the most uncomfortable exchanges I've ever had as an adult or even as a youth with her. And what? Oh, sorry. What is her name? I can never get her name.
Marissa Jarrett Winokur.
Marissa.
Yeah.
All right. Now you can look up Marissa, but she's had some issues. And so she was everyone was beaked up. Everyone's like, oh my God, my head's going to explode. The first dance, the first day you go out there, there's, 20 million people and everyone's watching and everything. And look, I don't care. You can make fun of it all you want. You get sucked into it badly and fast. I don't care who you are. I'm as a duty dude. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm nervous. I don't want to embarrass myself,
Well, 20 million sets of eyeballs will do that.
Right. So, I went out on stage and then I did my dance. And then I came backstage and Marissa was there, clearly a bundle of nerves, literally looked like she was going to have a breakdown mentally. And I hate when people give that tried advice, have fun out there. Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to have fun out there. I'm fucking freaking out right now. You know what I mean? I need some sagely advice, So I thought I could offer sagely advice to her. And I like to speak in metaphors. So she was pacing and freaking out, and some of the other people were, Penn Jillette was there. That's funny because he's 9 foot tall and she's 4 foot tall, and he was just towering over her. And I said to her, look, you're not going to have a good time up there. You're not going to have fun, but you're going to have something that transcends fun. You're going to have an experience. It's an experience, and you'll never be able to recreate that experience. And I said, like childbirth, is it fun? No, it's not fun. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it painful? Sometimes. But would you want to be anywhere else as an experience? And she goes, I just got diagnosed with cervical cancer and I can't have children. And then Penn Jillette laughed his ass off. like only an atheist could. He laughed like a maniacal man towering over both of us. Oh, what'd you just do? Look at her. She's like, I'm barren. I cannot have children, so.
Get out there and foxtrot.
I was like, well, then have fun out there.
Have fun out there.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
it was bad enough if it was just the two of us. It was Penn Jillette, the crazy atheist magician who was looming in the background, laughing his ass off after she told me she could no longer have children.
Oh, no. But she does have a son. I know she does. She has a beautiful son named Zev.
She did.
Thank God.
And she went on to win Big Brother. She's
So she landed on her feet.
She had a surrogate.
Well,
yeah.
And I mean, it's funny to think of her as a ball of nerves. I mean, she is the consummate musical. She's one of the musical theater icons now, the new ones.
It doesn't matter how good or experienced you are. You just have the nerves. I mean, you.
Yeah. I mean, when ballroom dancing is a whole different animal, you know, it's nothing really can prepare you. You just have to, like you said, you get caught up in it. You don't want to be the first one kicked off. and it becomes like a family. And back in those days, you 2 days a week live. So, and I was on with Rob Kardashian, and the Kardashians were there every week, and Cher came one week. I mean, it's so surreal. And I look back on it as like one of the most like amazing accomplishments. I'm really proud of the work I did on that show. I don't know if I could ever do that work again, like ballroom dance again, but it was amazing at the time.
Yeah, it's really one of the least natural environments to be in, but there is in a kind of baptism by fire kind of thing. But I don't know anyone who regrets it. Everyone makes fun of it. A lot of people pass on it, but no one who did it went, I wish I hadn't had that experience.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Except for the part with Marissa, whatever her rest of her name is, Chris.
Jarrett Winokur.
Yeah, you can just leave it on the screen.
Thank you.
All right. And so let's talk about Ricki Lake show, all those years. And I'm looking down here, over a decade, right?
11 years.
And you started like the earliest, youngest syndicated talk show host ever, 24?
Yeah. I was 23, and actually this is the 30-year anniversary this year of my doing the pilot for the show. I did it in 1992, and I'm coming back. I'm doing my own podcast called with Lemonada Media. It's called Raised by Ricki, and we're doing a retrospective of my old show, going back and looking at the old episodes with the lens of today. Look at what we were able to do culturally, historically, all the issues we covered. Have we come far? Have we gone backwards? I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting for everyone who grew up watching my show every day.
Are you set for life financially because of that show?
I am comfortable. I'm okay. Yeah, I don't have to work, but I don't have like Oprah or Rosie money or Ellen money. It wasn't like that, but I did well. Yeah,
because I always hear syndicated shows. Like the richest people in Hollywood are not some of the people you'd think it would be. It's like Judge so-and-so.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. Yeah, I heard she has like a ton of money. I mean, I make documentary films now. I don't need necessarily like a big paycheck, but I love doing creative work, and I love my home I've created, and I'm okay, but like I said, I don't have, funny money.
How did it all come about at such a young age?
Well, I had done Hairspray, and I was like an actress for a number of years, and I would be on David Letterman. Like I was always kind of a standby guest for him. I went on that show, back on the NBC show and the CBS show, like 20 times. I was like Sandra Bernhard. I did it a ton of times. And so they were looking to cast a younger host. They were looking at the shows at that time were Phil Donahue, Oprah, Sally, and they all skewed over the age of 55. So Garth Anseer was kind of the genius who came up with the concept of wanting to find a younger host and take the show from the younger person's perspective. And so I was just cast into it. I did the pilot, and it was just this phenomenon from week one. We just were, this huge success. And it was like, I had no idea I'd be good at it. In the beginning, all I did was channel Oprah. I was just like, okay, what would Oprah ask? And it turns out, like, I guess I have these skills that make a good host. I'm a good listener. I'm pretty forthcoming. And I never wore an IFB. That's one of the things I'm most proud of. I never wore, which is like an earpiece so the control room can talk to you. And I refused to wear one because I didn't want them telling me what to say. I didn't want them pulling me out of whatever thought I was, making. And it was a wild ride. It was such an amazing experience. And it's fun to like do this new show where I'm going to be looking back on it. Who I was at 24 is so different than who I am now. So yeah, I'm psyched. I'm really excited about this new project.
Hey, I had my own run-in with the IFB as well, because they try to put that thing in your ear and then they try to talk, and they oftentimes talk. Well, they can't talk while you're talking so much. They talk when the person is answering.
Right.
So the person is telling the story about how their grandfather died in their arms, and they're like, and you should come back with her. And you're like, I can't hear what this person is saying. Also, you don't exactly have, Bill Maher talking into the microphone, giving you a super funny joke or something. You have these producers that are talking about stuff that aren't that funny or suggesting stuff that
don't
you already
forget to throw
said.
this before commercial.
And it's like, it immediately becomes annoying, and then you start talking. The audience thinks you're talking to yourself, or you go, I know, or I said that, like in the middle of of something. It never
it just
worked.
wasn't serving me. It didn't help me. It took me out of where I
Right.
was. And I had my producer on the side with cue cards. If I was missing something, I usually wasn't missing anything. Like I was pretty good at keeping the story going and bringing out the conflict. I mean, it was a formula. We would do the show in a way that, the doorbell would be the surprise conflict coming out. I mean, it just, it was just something I was really comfortable kind of doing it on my own.
The frequent Letterman appearances, I've done that as well. Not with Letterman. There's a East Coast, West Coast version of that. Shows that need guests and they need them on a nightly basis and people drop out. They have a small Rolodex of people who deliver and most importantly are in town. Like
Are available.
Yes. You got to be lonely, deliver, and nearby.
Right.
And
unemployed.
And unemployed or unemployable. But either way, they got to call you like that afternoon for like the hit that night. So you must have had a little downtime and you must have been somewhere central to
and I was
studio.
A good guest.
Good
my
guest. You have to be good.
Yeah. I was good at telling stories. And one of I like to think it's infamous, but I was on Letterman when I was arrested. You probably won't even remember this, but I was arrested for animal rights back in 1994. I was protesting fur and I was thrown in jail. Rudy Giuliani was the mayor. And we had picketed at Karl Lagerfeld's offices and I was booked on Letterman anyways. I'm thinking, oh my God, I have a great anecdote. I did my pre-interview from my jail cell. I called them collect. Mary Connolly was the producer at Letterman. And she said it was her favorite pre-interview she's ever done. And I called her collect from the jail cell. And it was like Hairspray. So if you saw Hairspray when I'm in jail and I see myself on TV, that's exactly what I was experiencing in 1994, watching myself on the news in jail. And I went straight to Letterman. My lawyer got me out and we went straight to Letterman. I took a shower with my husband at Letterman and went on the show. And it was one of these crazy, surreal experiences because I have in one ear as my Sony producers, my executives, telling me to like distance myself from PETA, and it was like it was crazy. But again, I was a really good guest and it was a really good story.
Was Daniel Kellison there doing segment producing in those years?
I just remember Mary Connolly. Like she was the one.
They'd have like a producer, and that producer would be assigned to over and over again.
But Robert Morton was there. He was the EP running the show, and there was Biff. Remember Biff and Paul Schaefer, and those were the days.
I've said it. I've done it a couple times, not nearly as many times as you, but Biff Henderson became a fixture and a personality on the show, but he also had a job.
Stage manager.
His job is he stood behind that curtain and he moved it. And if you're a big fan of Letterman, like all I was and all my friends were, and then somehow I felt going on Letterman the first time, it felt surreal.
Sure.
This guy I used to watch in my friend's mom's apartment when we were in North Hollywood and had no money and we're working carpet cleaning and stuff like that. All of a sudden, I'm the guest on Letterman. Even just being in New York City seemed insane from where I came from. And I was just standing back there, kind of not even nervous, kind of just like hovering over my own body. Like, I'm just going to go out there and hang out with David Letterman.
Just have fun out there.
Yeah. And there's Biff Henderson, and he's in charge of the curtain. And you're already starting to freak out because look, it's Biff Henderson. Look at this Biff. And it's like, he was bigger than life to me, but also it seemed weird that he would be moving the curtain for me.
For little OU.
Yeah, like he should be somewhere doing something important or moving a curtain for John Wayne or somebody. Although he's probably dead. It's nice. And you must have come out and done the Tonight Show. You must have done everything.
I did.
Then,
I
right?
mean, I did it with Joan Rivers. I did it with Jay Leno. In fact, I just recently came up with a memory. When I was on Jay Leno, I was pregnant with my first son, Milo, and Rent was the big hit show. And I was on Jay Leno with the cast of Rent. And I have a picture that came up on my feed recently that all the original cast was holding my belly with Jay Leno on, like after the show. We took a picture. It was like crazy. I was such a Rent head. So yeah, I did all those shows. I did Arsenio. I'm a dinosaur. I've been around for a really long time.
Well, it's not that. It's that you started at such a young age that you're able to cover so much ground and still be relatively young because of when you started. And when did you start? I mean, Hairspray was 18.
Well, Hairspray was 18. My talk show, I was 24 when I went on the air. And I'm now 53. So, and I did 20, 25 movies, and I've done a lot. And I love the work I do now. The documentary work is so fulfilling. This new movie, The Business of Birth Control, is so important. It's so important. I think anyone should really educate themselves and watch this film. And, I love that I'm still here. I love that I get to continually reinvent myself and try new things.
Well, the doc thing is, I make some docs, and it's the best creatively because you sit around and you go, in a world where your agent calls and wants to know if you'll do a campaign that'll only run in Japan for a laxative or something. This is not that. This is you sit around and you go, what am I interested in?
Right.
What am I passionate about? What story?
Where can I make an impact? And I'll tell you, it stemmed from 9/11. I was living in New York doing my talk show. 9/11, I was living down in the West Village, and I watched the plane hit the building. I was right there, and I had a newborn at the time. I had a 4-year-old and my newborn. I just had my home birth 2 months prior. And I remember going back to work, 2 days later, and I'm doing my hoochie mama baby daddy thinks I'm, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is fun, and this is a successful venture, but I really wanted to soul search and figure out where I felt I could make a difference and be really impactful. And I was so profoundly impacted personally by my birth experiences that I wanted to explore that. And that was the start of The Business of Being Born, which to me, of my entire career, it's the most fulfilling work I've done to date. And I wanted to leave a mark and be curious about things, the way things are, and ask questions, and hopefully, get a community, get women talking about these issues that I think matter.
Gina's got a question.
I absolutely, I love everything you do now. I'm so excited that somebody of note is doing it and bringing all this great information to our ears and eyeballs. And thank you for that. Totally different question. You've worked with John Waters a million times, and we have to know about it. We have to know your thoughts about working with John Waters.
What do you want to know?
Everything.
He's exactly what you think he is. There's no one I think that I know in my life that's more authentic than him. And he's a genius, and he's generous. And I think he's not only did he give me my career, but he's managed to help me stay grounded. He really took me under his wing after we finished making the film. He pulled me aside before the movie came out. I was 18. And he said, I want you to know that your life is about to change. And I want you to remember these 3 things. Always stay humble. Always stay true to yourself. And if you're going to read and believe the good things people say about you, you're going to have to read and believe the bad. Mm. And it just, I think that advice and that loving care and mentorship has really helped me to stay really pretty grounded through this crazy business. And we're still very close. I see him probably a couple times a year. He's amazing. He's just, what a gift that I was able to have my start with him and to be his muse for a few movies. It was awesome.
How did he discover you? How did that come about?
Yeah, I met him. I was an open call. I was 18. I was a college student, a freshman at college, and I'd heard that they were looking for a fat girl who could dance. It was literally in stage business show business magazine or something. And I went to the open audition, and I just met him. I was one of hundreds of women, and he picked me. It's it's luck of the draw. I was just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And he's awesome. He's just an international treasure.
Had you had training experience, done plays, was theater?
No, I'd done an episode of Kate and Allie when I was 16. I had been on an episode of the TV series Fame. I got my SAG card, but no, I wasn't really, I was a musical theater major in college, but I was basically a failed musical theater major. They were wanted to kick me out of the department. The professor said I should give it up because I wasn't talented, and I was fat. So she didn't I think fat people or something, but he plucked me from complete obscurity and kind of opened this door. I'd never been around openly gay people before making Hairspray, and here I am co-starring with Divine. It was just such just a rich welcoming of like this business and Baltimore, and it was a magical summer that changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Speaking of Divine, did you see that doc on Divine? I think it's...
Yeah, I'm in it. It's called I Am Divine, I think. Yeah, it's great. It's great. And Divine, God, he was only 42 years of age when he died. He died in his sleep from being basically too fat. And he was doing an episode of Married with Children at the time.
Oh,
and
really?
it was 8 days after Hairspray opened.
Shit.
So literally I became like this sort of overnight sensation, celebrating this amazing, like my first movie, and he drops dead 8 days later. So it was just this unbelievable, tragic shock. And, I think so many of us never really got over the loss of him because he had so much more to do in this business,
Yeah, it's a really compelling doc if you guys want to go out and... I Am Divine, I think?
I Am Divine, yes. And I think Jason Schwartz is the director.
Birthing at home. Let's get into that for a moment.
Wow, we're going down memory lane. That baby is going to be 21. So yes, I had a water home birth in my bathtub in the West Village in 2001. Everyone thought I was crazy. And I knew better. Like I did my research. I was really into midwifery and I felt safer. For me, I was having a low risk, healthy pregnancy and I felt safer out of the hospital. And I also was 2 blocks from St. Vincent's Hospital if I needed it. So I felt like I had great backup. I had great care providers and I trusted my body. And I had, birth is so transformative anyway, but when you can give birth on your own terms, it stays with you like that tapping into your power. I mean, I've never felt more powerful and it has absolutely stayed with me through my life, that experience.
So how does one do it? And by the way, we like to play a game here called Rich Man, Poor Man.
Yeah.
I would say
Birthing at home.
birth in a bathtub is
right up there.
You're either rich or you're poor. But so how much water first off, do we put water in the tub? I know we're in a bathtub.
Well, sometimes it's a kiddie pool.
Well, I'm kind of saying I wouldn't do it in the middle of the living room, even if there was no water involved, just for sanitary.
Well, you can see exactly my birth in The Business of Being Born. You can see it. Anyone can see it. So it's not gratuitous. It's not particularly flattering, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
All right, I got many weird questions.
Okay.
How much water's in the tub?
The tub was full.
Full tub.
Full.
Warm.
Yes, it was warm. I don't think it was that warm because I'd been in the tub for a little bit, so the water was maybe a little warmer than lukewarm.
Okay, here's a weird question. Do you wear a shirt?
No. I didn't have any
keep it
clothes
real.
on.
No, good. That's the way you should do it.
I would have. Now, I didn't know I was going to make a documentary and show my birth in the film. Had I known that, I would have had better lighting. I would have had a top on, and I would have removed the shampoo bottles that were behind me.
Sponsors on the team.
Right.
That's right, like a NASCAR driver.
Golden Palace.
But if you watch it, and I encourage you all to watch it, I reach down and pull out my baby. Like it's amazing. I did that. And yeah.
And you have
She's a bad bitch.
now you call it I think a midwife. Is it a midwife?
Midwife and
Yeah,
midwifery.
but the
Midwifery.
practice the profession is called midwifery.
Oh,
so
it is?
midwives, yes.
So-
God,
so-
I'm teaching you a lot today.
I didn't
Adam.
know about midwifery. I thought you just call a midwife would engage in, tomfoolery. And then where's the medulla? How's that one work?
Just the
That's a
doula.
doula.
The
Yeah,
doula?
just the doula.
Oh, the medulla is a gland or
Right.
something.
Oblongata.
I'm actually a doula. I'm a
Oh, you are?
doula.
Of course.
I don't do it and I don't practice it, but I have practiced. I've done a few births, but a doula does labor support. They're not medically trained like midwives, but they do labor support.
They're your road
Yes.
manager when you're giving birth.
Right.
Doulas actually like they've done a statistic. It cuts your time of labor in half by having the presence of a doula.
We had a doula. I know that's to be true.
Did it work? Yeah.
It was great. It is like having a road manager, like someone to talk to the nurses or talk to the doctor.
An advocate.
Ask the questions that you're not equipped to ask at that moment because you're stressed or whatever.
Right, and we were talking before about having options, and I just think this is such a beautiful, to the point of how wonderful doulas are. I have a good friend who had a home birth, and it was not going well. And the doula was there, and she was trying to be supportive, and my friend did not want to leave the house. And the doula finally said, you know what? Some babies just want to be born in the hospital, and I think we're going to go. You know, like it's not just about keeping you in your house. It's about making the right decision at the right time.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
where would be the best place to find that doc if people want to
Same
check that
thing.
out?
The businessofbirthcontrol.com will lead you to all my movies. I have another one on cannabis. I made a documentary about cannabis and pediatric cancer called Weed the People. That's on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's next?
It's all about informed choice. Like the running theme through all of my films is about informed choice. What is next? My podcast, Raised by Ricki, is next. That's going to launch October of this year. And what else? I just got married. I'm living my best life, you guys. My 50s are the best. I love it.
So great.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was I was thinking about Divine dying in his 40s, and for some reason I decided to. It's weird when you're young and someone dies who's older, and you go, "Well, sad," but they were old.
Yeah. They lived a long life.
They lived a long life. I was, if you want to feel old, for some reason I was looking up John Ritter, was such a sweet guy, and he died at 54.
Oh boy!
And I was like, oh, I'm older than John.
Yeah.
When he died, I didn't go, well, it was about right. But I was like, well, this is old enough. He seemed older, whatever. No.
Yeah,
younger.
no, and a lot of people are dying so young right now. I mean, Bob Saget was so young.
Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert, Godfrey. Yeah. It's just, that's why you got to appreciate every day, this beautiful day that we're given. Every day is a gift.
A good note to go out on. The businessofbirthcontrol.com is where you can go and find the movies and keep up on Ricki and all her passionate projects. Good to see you, Ricki Lake. Thanks for
great
joining us.
Great to see you all. Thank you for having me. Have a great day, guys.
Our pleasure. Well, that was nice.
Love her.
It's okay.
Crowd Health. Even insured people are resorting to crowdfunding for healthcare costs. 250,000 insured people still went bankrupt last year due to medical costs. Crowd Health. You use the power of community to make healthcare affordable. Crowd Health isn't health insurance, and that's why it works. No doctor networks, huge premiums, or high deductibles, and no surprises. Pay one low monthly total to fund your account and access the Crowd Health community. You'll pay the first $500 of a health event. The rest gets submitted to Crowd Health community members for funding. Don't let healthcare costs stand between you and your future. Join Crowd Health today. Right, Dawson?
Ready for a better way to pay for healthcare? Join the crowd. Right now, you can get your first 6 months for just $99 a month. That's almost 50% off the normal price and a lot less than a high-deductible healthcare plan. Just go to joincrowdhealth.com and use promo code Adam at sign up. That's joincrowdhealth.com. Promo code Adam. Crowd Health is not health insurance. It's a totally different way of paying for healthcare. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we'll take a break. Back with the news right after this.
What does Elon Musk love more than to keep people guessing? He is the master of it, and he's doing it to Twitter. Those things might be tied together. He's announced a bid to acquire Twitter, not sit on the board, to acquire it for $54.20 a share. It's an all-cash deal, reportedly valued at approximately $43 billion. The news comes just after he revealed that he purchased a 9.2% stake, making him the largest individual owner of the social media platform. He has a history with Twitter, as we know. He, including claims his tweets have unduly influenced stock prices of a number of companies. He's criticized the company for restricting free speech and after becoming the largest shareholder, questioned whether it was a dying platform. Musk reversed a decision to join the Twitter board because, well, I don't know if it was because, but by the way, that would have capped his total possible ownership at 14.9%. Despite averaging more than 200 million daily active users, the company's been slow growth recently, which is possibly partly led to the departure of the CEO, Jack Dorsey. Twitter said it is reviewing Musk's offer to just buy it.
Well, you have to, because I think his offering is considered generous.
I think you have to legally.
And if you're a stock owner, you got to go, well, we got to do right by whoever owns stock in this, and he's making a generous offer. I think he said that's his best and last, so he's not going to negotiate. And then there's plan B that they're worried about, which is if they do not accept his offer, he can then dump his stock. Yeah. And when he dumps his stock, he's going to fuck up the prices of the stock. So they're in this weird position.
I don't know anything about this, but there's no more regulated industry than stocks and the SEC, et cetera. Is that legal? That feels like there must be some regulation against that, but what do I know?
Which part? You mean the dumping
of the stock in order to punitively ruin a company?
Well, but the whole point is I guess we don't know why you dumped your stock.
Yeah,
you can buy stock and you can sell stock, and he would go, all right, well, now I'm going to sell my stock.
And I was listening to a very brief news snippet about it, and I clearly wasn't listening very well because I don't remember. But to your question, it was basically like he has a creative relationship with the SEC, and like there are times where maybe he'll not disclose something exactly when he's supposed to disclose it because there's a little gaming of the system and they don't like it, but nothing really happens about it.
What's it going to amount to?
Right.
Yeah, the scary part is all the news outlets that have their fucking panties in a bunch because he wants to open up Twitter to basically more ideas, and people who do news for a living, journalists, hate the idea that he wants to do that, which is they're very worried about him getting hold of it because he said, I'm not going to pull down these differing opinion sites. I mean, just take a look at the battering that everyone who disagreed with any of the norms of COVID took over the last 2 years. Any doctors, any virologists, and people that went, I don't believe this is the right direction to go, or had ideas that ran afoul of whatever the common thoughts were that were coming from the CDC, they got deplatformed. And I think that caused Elon a lot to kind of go, I want to get involved with this. And who knows? It's scary to me that many journalists are very upset that he wants to open this up.
I'm trying to figure out why anyone would feel that way. So here's a question, I guess, for lack of a better word, devil's advocate. They're thinking if we're journalists and we're trying to get to the truth, there's all these people who are screaming that they have the truth, and that's irresponsible. If it's in fact an outright lie.
Well, their thing is it's being regulated in one direction right now.
Right.
And he's saying, I want to open it up in both directions. And the people that they're screaming about it are on the side of the direction it's going.
Right.
They pulled off, Hunter, the New York Post or whatever the publication is. They did the Hunter Biden story. And then Twitter pulled it down and said fake news. They shouldn't have done that. It was real. And they knew it, but they took it down. So all the people that are on that side of the aisle like the control of going, we don't like this information or COVID bullshit,
that's a good
vax
example.
Information, whatever it is. They go, this is our guys. So we like control over this thing because we don't want their guys getting involved with this. And so they look at Elon as the other guy, or not their guy, but the other guy's just saying, hey, it's going to be opened up. So if it's true, or if we vet it as true, then it's opened up to that. And they don't want that.
No, that's a great point. You just think of like Elon as the other guy, like the guy who's creating.
He's the man.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like creating like Tesla and electric power. It's like you decide what's important to you, and if the other person
He's the most successful African American on the planet.
That's true.
That is a very good
Bold.
point.
We should be a huge fan of this
Him
guy.
and Charlize Theron.
That's right.
You just dunked.
That's right.
You just dunked on
we should
everybody.
force them to have kids so they can have a super African American
child.
That's right. You think they would be applauding this African American that came to this country as a poor immigrant and done so much.
Poor immigrant.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really well said. You know what we don't talk about enough? The Charlize Theron crazy ass, her upbringing. Remember that story?
Her mom shot her dad or something.
Well, they were trying to like barricade themselves in the room because the dad crazy shit.
First then Oscar Pistorius. What the fuck's
Yeah.
going on?
I know
in South
what's going
Africa?
on down there. Let's talk Kim Kardashian. She is calling on Texas Governor Greg Abbott to stop the scheduled execution of death row inmate Melissa Lucio. That is scheduled for April 27th. Lucio's been on death row for nearly 15 years.
Kind of close, Kim.
After she was convicted of murdering her 2-year-old, she insisted the little girl fell down a flight of stairs. Her attorneys and family said she was forced into giving a false confession. Kim Kardashian is supporting the family's efforts to stop the execution. Kim shared a letter written by Lucio's family, which includes her 14 children, asking Governor Abbott to spare the life of our mother.
She had 14 children?
It says
Only one of which.
it says
Right.
her 14 children.
Less than 10% of your kids.
Yeah. Lucio's son tells TMZ that Kim's support has lifted her spirits and given her hope. I mean, we talk about the Kardashians and, talk about somebody who has something for everybody. It's like, screw them. What have they ever done that's changed humanity? And then you have, another example of Kim trying to deal with people not getting executed. She has a really wide range.
I'm generally for the Kardashians to some degree, and I'm for you having your causes, whether you're Ricki Lake or Kim Kardashian. Sure. But is she publicizing this? Because that's the part that makes me raise my eyebrow.
You're going to find it's hard to believe, but the Kardashians just premiered on Hulu 2 days ago.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe.
I know.
You're right.
And so
but the
it's
story from that episode apparently is Ray J, which I'm not even getting into.
But we all love.
No, right. It's not contract for the show.
Right.
It's to promote.
Right.
We all, I think, respect that part. Tell the story where Sean Hannity reached out to Brian Whitman and quietly said, let me help you, whatever. And then at some point, somebody else brings the story up.
Quietly.
I like those stories where the person does the anonymous
The anonymous
donations or
library.
whatever.
Years later, we find out.
Kim blowing a call into Abbott is great. It's her getting a publicist to let us know about it. But then you go, well, with more publicity, maybe
Do some good with that fame. And then you think the women or whoever it was, I can't remember, who are, basically coached her through the baby bar and people that she's, in law school with are probably hey, I'm totally speculating, but maybe it's we helped you a lot. You think you could use your fame and do this thing that you're actually working on for, class or whatever the hell it is.
There's the another thing as I think about when you talk about prison, Mark Garagos came in here fired up about, which was, I think there's a story, Chris, maybe you can ask Gary.
Is there anything Garagos is middling on?
He's got
got a
very strong
lukewarm.
Take or
opinions about
leave.
everything. This is a prison, women's prison, Seattle, Portland, somewhere in the north there. I think 2 or 3 of the women are pregnant from the ladies who identify as
boy.
ladies who still obviously have working parts.
It's a miracle.
And
I saw the documentary from Ricki Lake.
I've been screaming about this a million times. You just having a cock and balls and saying, I like to hang in the ladies' dorm. Well, long before this happens. I mean, it's impossible.
Not long, it seems.
It's impossible. Could you imagine taking biological dudes who are just completely biological, but just identified as ladies and just putting them in?
Rooster in the hen house, dude.
I did not see this coming.
Really?
Literally.
Really?
Oh, that's the only way.
Yeah, this feels like a very natural.
Well, first things first, you're going to have this group of guys going, you want to hang out in General Pop with the dudes, or would you rather go in the ladies' prison? Every guy I know would rather spend time in the ladies' prison.
I absolutely get the concept, but did anyone else specifically have the idea of them impregnating the female inmates? That specifically just was not on my radar.
Everything goes a direction that leads to some sort of biological, logical, emotional end. It is, all right, we have a prison, a women's prison. Okay. Males commit a lot of crimes, the lion's share of the crimes. Hey, males, would you rather be in a woman's prison or a men's prison? Then all the males go, I'd rather be in a woman's prison. Right. Okay. Then we go, how many of you would like to undergo gender reassignment surgery? And a lot of hands go down. But then they go, hold on. What if you just said you were a woman and you didn't have to cut your cock and balls off, and then the hands would go back up, and then there would be a number of those people would then go into the women's prison. And then it strikes me that women and men in prison like to have sex because they're cut off from the outside world.
Any port in a storm.
Good news.
Yeah.
There's a guy kind of looks like your old boyfriend who's here, and then you think about precautions, Ricki Lake and her birth control, condoms, probably not something that
is plentiful.
Right.
Plentiful.
Easily accessible.
Now you get
previous
to
and necessary.
Pregnancy. You have the story. Oh, is it New Jersey?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's New Jersey. So transgender prisoner Demetrius Minor, age 27, has admitted she got 2 women inmates pregnant in a New Jersey women's prison.
Oh, I do love the wording. She got 2 people pregnant.
How?
She did.
She snuck in semen samples?
That's right. She got Drake's condom. He didn't put any Tabasco in there. She got. I love that we have to write it this way. She got 2 people, and I'll never get over it. It always bumps me. I'm like, Drake? Oh no,
what
not
did you
Drake.
say?
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Read it again.
Read it again. Okay. Transgender prisoner Demetrius Minor, 27, has admitted she got 2 women inmates pregnant in a New Jersey women's prison.
He's got a beard.
Yeah. She goes by
He looks
Demi
like
now.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, in this, there is another picture of Demetrius with a fuller, more Kardashian brow and a clean shave, if that helps you, Brian.
All right. So what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so Demetrius is serving 30 years behind bars for killing, okay, now it says his, so for killing his foster father and carjacking. One of the pregnant women is double murderer Latonia Bellamy, who's in this picture that we're seeing, who will give birth in early fall.
They're made for each other.
And now, at some point, there's going to be lawsuits from the biological women who claim that this guy either raped them or even if it's consensual or shared a shower. Like, there's going to be a bunch of lawsuits going the other direction.
You know,
this guy kills somebody, carjacks, and just decides he'll declare his major as a woman, and then we pay to incarcerate him while he has sex. What could go wrong?
Aren't there parts of male prisons for segregated housing for trans prisoners?
I saw the second longest yard. I understand how these things work very clearly.
She's hot.
Yeah. I'm sure they're going to have to do something, but this ain't it. Look, maybe we're just going to need, like we need the 3rd bathroom now, maybe we just need the 3rd prison.
Genderless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep an eye on
Don't
that.
know that would solve anything.
That's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's talk Bam Margera. Former Jackass star has settled his wrongful termination suit against his one-time pal and boss, Johnny Knoxville, which he filed after firing him from Jackass Forever. So according to TMZ, which you might already know, Adam, Margera, who had a number of rehab stints in recent years, has asked that the suit be dismissed. He dropped it. He filed the papers after being dismissed from the sequel for testing positive for Adderall, and that's a drug he said he'd been prescribed for years due to various conditions. Bam claimed that Knoxville and Paramount were inhumane and discriminatory in his treatment and compared his situation to Britney Spears and her conservatorship. No details about the settlement have been released, but apparently it's just over.
I missed it on TMZ.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to fill us in.
Well, there's TMZ, the website.
Right.
And then there's TMZ Live.
Right.
And then there's TMZ, the half-hour show with Brian's buddy Derek, who I enjoy. Some stuff will make the website, make the live show, but not make the cut for the half hour that I watch. So I feel like this didn't make that cut.
I see. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. And in the, maybe you heard this story, TMZ, this is also page 6. Thandiwe Newton, great actress. We've seen her in tons of stuff. She has exited Magic Mike's Last Dance, which sadly is probably the last of the trilogy for Magic Mike, for acting bizarrely on set, according to page 6.
She came to fame in a Bond
She was in a Bond movie, yeah. I don't know if
She was in Crash, right?
I know. You know what? That's the last. I was just thinking about the last Best Picture winner I never saw was Crash.
Wow.
Heard it was very okay.
Well, from us TV watchers, we all know her from Westworld. She's Maeve.
She had something. She was in a Tom Cruise movie. That was a big
Mission
movie.
Impossible.
Yeah, I think so. But we know her.
Okay, so
Beautiful.
Stunning and English, I believe. Sources say that she'd been filming in London when those close to the production became worried about her health. Newton is said to be battling emotional and family problems after separating from her husband of 24 years, and that she's likely headed to rehab. One source said she's going through a lot. She and her husband separated. She's super stressed, and she even brought her 2 pet support rabbits with her, and is just acting a little off. But no worries for any guys who are going to be dragged along to Magic Mike's Last Dance. She has been replaced by Salma Hayek. So we have a little something for everybody to see.
Yeah, man. Selma's the gift that keeps giving.
Oh, boy.
Her boobs get bigger every year. She never gets old.
No.
What the hell's up with her?
It's funny you should say that. I heard her maybe last year on a Mark Maron podcast talking about just that. She, in this gorgeous accent, she's saying, women have to remain talented and remain demure and remain smart and remain hot and never get old. And
Yeah, they do.
though she's bitching about it, she's achieving it.
Yeah,
She's doing really well.
Thandiwe Newton was married for 24 years?
I guess, yeah.
We might have been thinking of the Mission Impossible movie. I don't know that she was in a Bond movie.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking Mission Impossible. You're exactly right. I didn't know she was old enough to be married for 24 years.
Same.
Shit don't crack.
She must have got married in high school or something. She's 49?
Damn.
Wow.
Good for her.
Good for her, sort of, with her rabbits. Yeah. And let me tell you guys about rabbits. I had rabbits.
Go on.
They're super cute. It's Easter time.
They will eat themselves to death.
What do you mean?
They don't have a thing where they
Regulate
get full.
Really? I just thought they chew on everything to keep their teeth from growing.
You give them a whole head of lettuce, they eat the entire head of they do not stop, and they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wow.
You got to put them on portion control, man. They just don't have a thing where they get full.
You owned rabbits? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yeah.
Not as far as the state knew.
We had rabbits. We had a kitten. Me and Donnie in our first apartment with maybe my buddy Chris lived there too. We had a 1-bedroom with a few dudes.
Hot.
And we had kittens, and we had a kitten. Someone just got it at the grocery store and then dropped it off. Or else when you used to, the cats would be in a box, and you'd leave and get again, the conceit was always weird. Like, I'm going to go into Gelson's, get an energy bar. Oh, what do we have here?
Hey.
A cat?
Calico.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll take that.
A living thing.
Yeah, a living thing. Yeah, I'll raise that.
Wow. How'd the kitten do?
The kitten.
It's hosting its own podcast.
The kitten hung out. There's footage. I don't know where that is, Chris, but there's footage of the cat running around chasing the rabbits around. At some point, the kitten was given to a responsible family to raise.
Thank Christ.
And the rabbits were set free in the hills of Laurelwood.
I'm sure they fared well.
I'm sure.
Deliciously well.
Fat, overfed rabbits.
There's no
What could
survival
go wrong?
skills.
I said the only way this rabbit made it past the first night is if the coyotes thought it was a trick. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
A bait bunny.
Who would just take
Hold on now,
these
son.
2 huge canned hams and drop them off in our den? No, but this thing's got to be pointed. It's a trick.
Yeah.
Don't go there. That was night 1.
Did you name these animals?
The cat's
Lunch and dinner.
The cat's name was Max.
Cute.
And I don't remember the rabbit's name.
Okay. This is for the best. There is a Japanese game show that's been on for like 30 years that Netflix has acquired. So now we are all seeing it for the first time, and it's kind of blowing Americans' minds. It highlights a big difference between Japanese culture and American culture. It's a show translated, it's called Old Enough. And in each episode, it's just hold on. It's basically a toddler being sent on their first errand alone. And of course, it's being filmed. So there's clearly a cameraman. And I'm showing you some footage as I tell you the story. In the first of the 20 episodes that are available on Netflix, we're seeing a 2-year-old traveling through the town to a convenience store to buy groceries In the fourth episode, a 3-year-old crosses a 5-lane road in a city that's basically the size of Cincinnati to go to the fish market. This show's been on for 30 years, serious part of Japanese culture. And if you see in the video, the little boy we're watching has a little yellow flag. Apparently, everyone is coached up in Japan that they leave. I looked into it just a little bit. There's like a bucket of yellow flags on the side of the street, and a little kid picks it up, and people are like supposed to be, and I guess are extra cautious of them crossing the street. And also if they're carrying it around, that's like a sign, like, everybody look out for this child. He's literally alone.
This kid's adorable.
He's super cute, and I think he gets it done. Another example, because I was like, what other cultures seem to be better than ours? Norway and Denmark, we've talked about this before, they're sort of known for leaving their kids in strollers outside while they go in for lunch or go shopping in freezing temperatures, like 16 degrees.
Hardy.
Because the fresh air, they said actually the cold fresh air while they're bundled up helps them sleep while they sit outside. There's usually, they try to get a window seat maybe, if there's a little kid getting the little groceries.
Oh, man. 2
And
years old.
he's a toddler. And now, remember when the phrase free range parenting was hot, and we basically knew it because parents were getting arrested for it, for neglect, letting them kids walk to school on their own? We live in very different cultures.
Yeah, we're sorry, Nancy Grace, but we've convinced every fucking mom on the planet that their child is job one for the abduction van.
First of all, Adam, I do believe I cornered the market on that. Thank you. So please give credit where credit is due.
I enjoyed your 15th episode of What Happened to Natalie Holloway, by the way, that premiered on Fox 27 times last weekend.
We took a deep dive, no pun intended, because we felt like that story has yet to be told. And Vandersloot, I'm still coming for you.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I'm picturing me and Norm Macdonald. And
Talking Vandersloot.
You ever hear that one?
I don't remember
it. Back in the radio days.
Oh, I gotta hear it.
Made me laugh.
Why do we even still know that
He
name?
was Vandersloot calling me, trying to figure out, wanting me to go move the boat or help him with the body or
I thought
something.
it was the other way around, but that was the premise.
Yeah.
I need to hear it.
We'll play it on tomorrow's show.
That's great.
Tip of the hat to Norm. All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
I don't know if there's a pill I could take that would get me off of a tight ass and big tits.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina.
Oh, wait a minute. I do know. Cyanide. That would be the pill.
Well done.
There we go.
Yep.
There is one.
Yep.
Same one the Nazi war criminals
That's
had.
right. Bite down. You're
Yeah, you're done.
All right. Indianapolis coming up. Helium Comedy Club May 6th and 7th. 4 shows coming up there. We'll do live pods. We'll do stand-up there. Sea Legs here's going to sell out, and that's coming up May 20th at Sea Legs at the beach at Huntington Beach. Fun, live, open air, good vibe, good times. Come on down for that. Oh, let me hit LifeLock. That's right. Tax season is always crazy, but it's going to feel even more stressful if you fall victim to scammers pretending to be IRS, asking for personal info, bank accounts, or for you to wire them money. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day, we put our info at risk on the internet. In an instant, cyber criminals could harm your finances and your credit. Good thing there's LifeLock. LifeLock helps detect a wide range of identity threats, like your social security number for sale on the dark web. If there's a problem, you'll have access to a dedicated restoration specialist. It's LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock by Norton. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year with promo code Adam. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. Use promo code Adam for 25% off.
All right, I want to thank Eli Jane. The Way, the name of her action movie, and that's available on Apple TV and YouTube as well. And then, of course, Ricki Lake, which is the business of
birth
control. Yeah, sorry, it says something different on my bio here. But Ricki Lake and Eli Jane and Gina Grad and Bald Bryan, this is Adam saying mahalo.
We live in very different cultures.
Yeah, we're sorry, Nancy Grace, but we've convinced every fucking mom on the planet that their child is job one for the abduction van.
First of all, Adam, I do believe I cornered the market on that. Thank you. So please give credit where credit is due.